So Ric Flair, and this is in the news, so I'm allowed to talk about it. Ric Flair on this particular podcast, and what is this? Has this gotten over 1 million views now?
It had 1 million on Monday.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried that somebody has gotten to Flair.
Uh-oh.
Because Flair now has done kind of a reversed, like turnaround, like saying, well, maybe I misspoke. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking. Listen, Ric Flair will probably be the next one. Well, I guess Mike Rotund from the IRS was it the IRS gimmick or
that stuff is that Barry Windham shot off about Mike Rotunda's health, and he shouldn't have, and said that Mike Rotunda was in hospice, and he's not.
Okay.
Because I talked to his daughter, and his daughter was forced to then make a statement on his health because of Barry Windham talking. So guys just speaking about
So Barry Windham talked, and then Rick got that little bit of news and took it and mentioned it on this podcast too. And you've got to the bottom of it because I think I know you know her. And that's
I read on Twitter that Mike Rotunda's dying, and then I reach out to his daughter, and she's like, "That's just not the case.
Right.
I don't know where you got this from."
What I'm saying is your source is as solid as it can be. It's family, and you know her and are friends with her, and she told you the truth.
Yes.
And so anyway,
so that's why when he's sitting here just being like, "Oh, Hogan and Mike Rotunda," it's just like he's just drunk rambling.
Yeah. So anyway, I played this. This has gotten out of control. I can't really comment on it for various reasons, but when things are in the news, I can. I've taken this. What was Lummy? Was this 45 minutes to an hour long?
This podcast?
Yeah.
I believe it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah. We took the 1-and-3-second clip of Ric Flair making these allegations. Now, as Hogan was in the hospital dealing with various complications during the 60 or so days of when he was in the woods, meaning like neck surgery, complications from neck surgery, in and out of the hospital, taking himself off the publicity beer tour. This show was really the only show that had really good data. And it upset a lot of people that are close to Hogan. And if you remember, they would actually, monitor the show and then combat our inside intel. When realistically, our inside intel was correct. I mean, Hogan died. We were saying that was going to happen. And, we alleged back then that something like this may have contributed to why Terry is no longer with us. Rick, we say it, Lummy, oh my God, lawsuits and just crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff. Gag orders, temporary restraining gimmicks. At that point, I was trying to release. I wasn't. Wolf Films was trying to release Video Killed the Radio Star. That almost didn't go down. And so Flair says it gets over 1 million views. Might be at 2 million now.
1.4.
And now he's backtracking.
Another wrestler, another Mount Rushmore type legend who resided in the Tampa area, Hulk Hogan, passed away.
I talked to him the day before he died.
Now, we've determined that this is not an alcoholic beverage. This is Ric Flair's new energy drink.
Yes, woo.
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 Okay.
Is it FDA approved, Lummy?
Oh, yeah. So I think it's like $30 for 12 of them or 6 of them.
Here we go.
Jesus.
Here we go. And Lummy, you're working on an energy gimmick for us, are you not?
Yes, I am.
In fact, I think it's locked in, isn't it?
Pretty much.
I shouldn't say this, but what killed him was street drugs. when the doctor wouldn't prescribe anymore, he was in so much pain. Then he had that neck surgery, and it got infected. So back in the hospital, mentioned 10 back surgeries, 2 knees, 2 hips, all this. And then when the doctor would not prescribe anymore pain medicine, they just couldn't do it all due conscious, right?
Yeah.
So they went and got the drugs off the street.
Mm-hmm.
His body just said, you know what? Bingo. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Sad.
That's terrible.
So I'm going to keep that, let me, just so I always have it. Here's why I think there might be something to this. Then immediately, as a good wife would, Hulk Hogan's widow hits back at Ric Flair's claim. WWE star claims WWE star died from street drugs. The widow of WWE icon Hulk Hogan is pushing back against the claims made by the fellow wrestling legend Ric Flair. Now, mind you, Ric Flair has known Hogan since 1979, before Hogan was even a thing. When Hogan was just wrestling for $50 to $75 a night
in the Vern Gagne territory.
No, and down here, in the Gorilla. Who was the main guy? Was it not Barry Windham? The main guy down here, I forget who the main booker was, but with the Briscoe brothers, and he was in the Florida territory. In the Florida territory, him and Ed Leslie, better known as Brutus the Barber Beefcake, for $50 a night. Like Mondays were like in Panama City, and Tuesdays were like in Jacksonville, and Wednesdays were like in Daytona, and Thursdays were like in Fort Myers, and Friday.
You think of Kevin Sullivan?
No. Kevin Sullivan didn't run the territory. Hiro Matsuma ran the Sportatorium, which is where, so like, Wednesdays they'd be in like Daytona, Thursdays Orlando, Fridays like Miami or Fort Myers, and then Saturday night would be Tampa. And they would literally make $50 a night. That's Flair has known Hogan that long. I think he has a pretty good understanding as to, and this is strictly his opinion, but I would think that he has a pretty good understanding as to how this might have went down, and he claims to have spoke to Terry the night before.
Eddie Graham.
Yes, Eddie Graham was the booker of all that territory. Born Terry Bollea, passed away earlier this year at the age of 71. The cause of death was initially given as a cardiac arrest. This whole thing has been so poorly handled. And it started with, and it's in the news, and I can talk about it. This thing absolutely started out with the inability, or for whatever reason, I don't know who blew a phone call in. I don't know. Maybe a private investigator needs to look into this, but all of this nonsense and all of this uncertainty and all, Ric Flair says he died of street drugs. Sky, his wife, says that's not true. They said they rounded up 2 other family members that also allege that that's not true. I mean, if you're a family member, you're not going to say, yeah, Flair's right. You're going to stick up for your dad, or you're going to stick up for your, your father-in-law, or you're going to stick up for your husband. Of course you should. And inevitably you may be correct. But this all would be not an issue. And Flair could not have made those allegations. And the family and the close circle of friends could vehemently stand behind if they would have done an autopsy immediately, like they do when some shady stuff happens, much like, if we're talking about celebrity-wise, Matthew Perry, formerly from Friends, who died from a ketamine overdose. And they didn't, I mean, I don't know when they did the autopsy on Hogan, but I do know this, and this comes from Brooke, that they still hadn't done an autopsy when they did the funeral. And I don't know why they didn't do an autopsy immediately, because at that point the autopsy that would have been done, and it's my understanding when they do an autopsy over something that's a little bit concerning or shady, or how did this person expire, or how did this person die, is it's done right away. Like, it's so that whatever in the system doesn't half-life itself out of the system, and you do it immediately. And the medical examiner in this situation said there's, and I don't know if it came from the Clearwater police chief. I don't know where it came from. But I just wish, I think everybody would have a little bit more stable footing in their reasoning or their opinions on what really killed Hulk Hogan had they done. There's no downside to doing an autopsy immediately. There's no downside to it. The guy's dead. He wants to be, his wishes are to be cremated. So, and he didn't want an open casket, and there was not an open casket. So, cutting him open and getting into a full toxology report, getting a full, how much larger the heart was, what particular valves or what part of the heart failed, a real extensive autopsy on what Hogan had in his system and what went wrong. But instead, the Clearwater PD completely botched this. The feds might have to get involved, because I just don't understand why there was no autopsy. And here is what leads me to believe. Now, if we could find the second clip of Flair and you give it to me, and I don't need it right now. Maybe we can have it for tomorrow. But Flair goes on to say, and you guys can cut it down for me, but Flair goes on to say that in the next 30 days, the media is going to go crazy over this. Now, the reason why he said that was because I think it was October 2nd or October 1st, Hulk Hogan's estate went to the 6th Circuit Court of Pinellas County and asked for a 90-day extension on the statute of limitations of a medical malpractice lawsuit. The statute of limitations had run, but they wanted an extension so they could do an extensive medical a medical report as to what really killed him. And they were granted that, and that expires. It's my understanding that extension that the judge granted them ends. They have to have their whole entire case buttoned up as to their theory of medical malpractice by first couple days of January. Now, whether whomever is illicitly involved in this, or this Hogan's death was caused by complications from a botched surgery, that's what the family's going to try to get at. But if it was what Ric Flair said it was, where somebody went out and got him some pills because his pain management doctor, who I've been told, I don't know it to be true, but I've been told was Fitzgerald, hadn't written Hogan any type of pain opiate-based type stuff in quite a while. And as Ric Flair alleges, somebody needed, he said they, didn't he say Lummy? Didn't he say they went out and got some?
Yeah.
So whoever they is probably, and this line right here is what leads me to believe that maybe there is something to this. However, as recent as October, an investigation into the cause of death has been ongoing, leading to speculation. Remember, Lummy, they were trying to button this all up, saying there's nothing to see here. There's nothing that went, there's nothing illicit. Terry died of natural, cardiac arrest type situation. That's all. And that's why, for whatever reason, the medical examiner didn't do a full toxology report on Hogan. When he was transported to the hospital, they didn't pull any blood. Usually standard wise, and if I can put you on protection if you're a EMT or you're a guy that works in the ambulance transporting sick or nearly dying people to the hospital. But it's my understanding that most ambulance or EMTs or medics, I don't know what you're called, so if I'm saying the wrong term as to what those people are called, I apologize. I don't know if those are medics or EMTs, or I don't know what you're called. The guys that actually let me work in the ambulance and are working on you to try to save your life as they're scrambling to get to the hospital. I know that they have radio communication with the hospital, that they're coming in and they're given the vitals and they're given, the what the condition of the patient is, and I think the hospital may have some input. You might want to try this, you might want to try that. But it's my understanding that those medics or EMTs usually pull 3 or 4 vials of blood. I don't know if it's standard procedure or this happens, or if it's a law or it's just to cover your ass as a medic, but you pull 3 or 4 vials of blood while en route to the hospital to be able to cover your ass, to show that you didn't do anything, you didn't give any type of illicit drugs to the patient in transport. So I could be wrong. I was told that blood is always taken. Now, mysteriously, supposedly, from my inside sources, there is no blood. There wasn't an autopsy done initially. The autopsy that was done might have been done. I'm just telling you, might have been, and I don't know it to be true. The autopsy that was performed on Hogan might have been done after he was embalmed. At that point, I think the embalming process, like what Dan described yesterday, was when they embalm you, they drain all your blood out and put formaldehyde in there. So blood work and toxology, you throw that right out the window. That went out when you started, putting the formaldehyde in there. So there was no blood taken in the ambulance. There was no blood taken at Morton Plant. And the toxology report showed nothing in his system, but the toxology report was done in conjunction with the autopsy that might have been done after his embalming. So you may never really get the true information as to what happened here. And there's a very powerful religious organization that's in Clearwater that could have ties to this. The chief of police of Clearwater is saying there's nothing to see here. He died in his sleep naturally. And there are some people that aren't buying that. And when his best friend, not me, but a guy that he's known since 1979 that claimed to have talked to him the night before he died, speculates that street drugs killed him because he could no longer get pain pills. And the pain pills he may have gotten from whomever, Chilly Willy, those, everybody, listen, everybody knows, even if you don't do pain pills, even if you do not participate recreationally in pain pills, or if you have participated in pain pills because you've had a major surgery or something that would require your doctor to give you a prescription to go to your local pharmacy to get said pain pill, that pain pill is not going to be tampered with or stepped on or mixed with fentanyl or ketamine or anything like that that's going to kill you. And if the doctor says you're supposed to take, 1 to 2 every 4 hours based on your pain level, that's not going to kill you. You got them from a reputable place and you're taking them as prescribed, you're going to be fine. But when you get them from Chili Willy, freeze-dried Jones, well, maybe Ric Flair's onto something, and Bubba the Love Sponge doesn't have to be the guy that gives you this information. Bubba the Love Sponge just happens to be the guy that's reiterating what Ric Flair said.
I mean, I even have fentanyl test strips.
You do?
Yeah.
Do they make those?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can test your drugs before you.
I never knew of such a thing.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you rub it on the pill, or do you?
Yeah, you crush up a little bit and then you put it on. It's like a little strip type thing that you put it in, and like
kind of like when you're trying to test if you're in ketosis and you got to pee on a stick.
Yes, basically.
So basically, you take your pain pill, you crush it up a little bit, and then you rub this fentanyl stick on the powder, and it tells you if it's pure Vikes or if it's got any fentanyl, a little fentanyl.
Yeah.
So anyway, Lummy, it should get interesting because
30 days, right?
Well, that's 26 days from now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you want to have? Are you looking to be vindicated?
No, I can't get. I'm not looking to be vindicated. When am I going to be vindicated?
Well, I'm asking as far as vindicated, as far as the stuff that you were saying about Hogan to be true, since Ric Flair's kind of echoing what you said back in the day. I that's what I'm asking. Like, are you looking for justice for Hogan? Are you looking to have your name cleared up a little bit as far as not trying to throw Hogan under the bus, but bringing the truth to light? What's all of the above?
Yeah. I think to answer your question, honestly, all of the above, because I really put my neck out on the line on some of the things that I was alleging, because I know Hogan was his best friend, saw him every day for 17 years, knew his every move, knew his every idiosyncrasy, knew what he liked, knew what he participated in, and I know him. And I'm just saying, if he's in pain, and he's going to try to alleviate that pain, and the circles that he traveled in would be conducive to getting something like what he may have gotten. Let me not say it. Let me let Rick say it. He may have gotten some street drugs, according to Ric Flair. And I was saying that early on, when it doesn't even sound as cuckoo now as it did then. I mean, when I was saying it back then, they were like, "Oh my God, Bubba's a dick. Are you serious, Bubba? Let it go. Quit trying to ride Hogan's coattails and get 26,000 extra clicks for saying that he may and our various headlines that we had." But I mean, at the end of the day, before I go to words, let me break it down this way. At the end of the day, the majority of the stuff that we said came to fruition. The majority of the stuff. I think one time, Lummy, I opened up and I said, family members have been called to come say their goodbyes.
Yes,
you only come and say your goodbyes when somebody's not going to be with you much longer.
That's right.
I did say what Flair said. I said that fairly early on as well. After his death, I'm like, man, to die in the middle of your sleep. And I know Hogan has a tolerance for these things. I think he may have gotten something that was stepped on.
How many? I don't know if you could, say it, but like when you guys were running, in your knowledge, how many would he have to take to? Like, what was his tolerance up to?
I mean, he could take 8 at a time.
Wait, we talking hydros?
No, like some Perkies.
Okay.
Would he take him without water?
No, he'd chew them up. So he said,
Oh my God,
Hogan would
man.
go, let me tell you something, brother. If you chew them up, you get the coating off of them and they activate faster. That's what he would say.